There lived a couple, Mr. and Mrs. Chuks. They were the kind of couple everyone in the neighborhood admired. They had it all: love, wealth, good looks, and 3 beautiful children. Their home was big and beautiful, with a neatly trimmed garden and shiny black cars parked outside. Whenever Mr. Chuks came home, the children would run into his arms shouting, "Daddy, Daddy," and he would lift each of them and kiss their cheeks. Mrs. Chuks was a lovely woman, respectful, soft-spoken, and supportive. She stood by her husband and took care of the home with grace. People often said, "Now this kind woman day make man succeed." And truly, Mr. Chuks was succeeding. He was a fine man, tall, well-built, always smelling of expensive cologne. His suits were sharp, his shoes shiny, and his smile charming. Whether at the office or in public events, women would stare and whisper to themselves, "If not this man marry me, I no go suffer." But what they didn't know was that Mrs. Chuks thought the same too. Her husband treated her like a queen. He would take her shopping, buy her gifts, surprise her with flowers, and never forgot her birthday or their anniversary. Whenever she was sick, he would take care of her like a baby. To her, he was perfect. "Baby, I don't know what I did to deserve you," she would say. He would hold her hands and smile. "And I don't know what I did to deserve such an angel." But beneath that charming smile was a secret. Mr. Chuks was not the man he pretended to be. Behind all the love, gifts, and romantic words, he was hiding a dark habit. He was a chronic cheat. He slept with anything in skirt. It didn't matter if they were married, young, or even his friend's girlfriend. As long as they had a body that attracted him, he would find a way to get them. But he was smart, extremely smart. He knew how to cover his tracks, delete messages, switch phones, lie convincingly, and buy gifts as distractions. He never gave his wife any reason to suspect him, and she trusted him completely. To the world, they were the perfect couple. But behind closed doors, Mr. Chuks was living a dangerous double life. Until one day, something happened that would change his life forever. It all started on a Saturday afternoon. Mr. Chuks was having a business lunch with a friend at a classy restaurant in town. As they laughed over their drinks, a woman walked in. She was beautiful, dangerously beautiful. She had light skin, smooth curves, long legs, and full lips. She wore a fitted wine-colored dress, heels that clicked as she walked, and carried herself like a model. Her eyelashes were long, and she smelled like wildflowers. Mr. Chuks noticed her immediately. He blinked, turned back to his food, then looked again. He was mesmerized. "Guy, you dey hear me at all?" his friend asked, waving at him. "Sorry, bro." Chuks smiled, wiping his mouth. "That girl just enter now. Sea levels nah. She find I." His friend turned to look. "E be like say you no go ever change." Chuks laughed and shook his head. "Just one night. That's all I need." He didn't even care who she was. He was too used to chasing women. Too confident. And this one looked like a sweet catch. He watched as she sat alone at the other side of the restaurant and placed an order. Then he stood up, adjusted his jacket, and walked to her table. "Hello, beautiful. Can I join you?" She looked up slowly and smiled. A smile that could melt iron. "Sure," she said softly. That was all the invitation he needed. Her name was Brenda. She was soft-spoken, charming, and very friendly. They talked like they had known each other for years. Within 30 minutes, she already had him laughing and smiling like a teenager. Chuks didn't know that Brenda was not just any woman. She was like a demon sent from the pit of hell. Brenda looked classy, but she was broke. She had nothing in her bank account. She lived in a single room with a leaking zinc roof. Her mattress was flat and dirty. Some nights, she slept on the floor with no food in her stomach. But no one would believe it. She made sure she looked expensive when she stepped out. Wigs, perfume, makeup, designer bags, all borrowed or fake. But she wore them well. Her goal was simple: Trap a rich man and tie him down. Work? Brenda hated it. She called it suffering. Why should I suffer when I have my body? She would say to herself. I'll use what I have to get what I want. She had done it before with other men, collected money, phones, and gifts. But none of them stayed. None were rich enough to carry her to Dubai. Until she met Chuks. When she found out he was a rich married man, she smiled. Now you go suffer pass, she whispered to herself that night. She planned everything. Brenda didn't waste time. That very night, after meeting Mr. Chuks, she began her plan. She went to visit a ritualist in a remote part of town, a dark old man called Baba Adissa, who lived in a mud house surrounded by charms and skulls of animals. She had used his services before to get favors from men, but this one was different. I want to tie this one permanently, she said. Baba Adissa looked at her with sharp, piercing eyes. You want him to forget his wife? His children? Everything just for you? He asked slowly. Brenda nodded with a wicked smile. Yes, I want him to spend all his money on me. Buy me cars, fly me to Dubai. Everything. I want him to become my slave. The old man laughed. It wasn't the kind of laugh that meant joy. It was a deep, echoing sound that sent chills down Brenda's spine. Be careful what you ask for, Baba Adissa said. I'm ready, Brenda replied quickly. Just give me whatever will work. The ritualist nodded. He went into a corner and came back with a black clay pot. From it, he brought out a thick red powder, a strange soap-like block, and a small brown bottle. This soap, he said, handing it to her, you must use it to bathe from head to toe for 3 nights. No light, no sound, no one must see you. Do it naked. Brenda nodded, already excited. This powder, he continued, rub it on your body before he comes to meet you. He will not resist you. Even if you are smelling, he will desire you. Brenda laughed. Good. But the last condition, Baba Adissa said seriously, is the most important one. He picked up the small brown bottle and handed it to her. Inside is dry ground bark and herbs. When your menstruation starts, put some drops in your stew. Boil it with your blood. Let him eat it. That is the seal. Brenda frowned slightly. My menstrual blood? Yes, Baba Adissa said. Don't joke with it. You want him to be yours forever? That is the price. Brenda nodded slowly and took the items. She was disgusted, but the desire for a luxury lifestyle was stronger than her shame. 3 days later, Brenda completed her spiritual bath as instructed. Her menstruation started that morning, and she knew it was time. She put on gloves and got a small white bowl. Then she collected her menstrual blood, thick and dark, and poured it into a pot of hot stew she had already prepared with meat and fish. But she wasn't done. She added a few drops from the brown bottle, mixed the stew thoroughly, and stirred it until everything blended. The smell was strange, not like normal stew. It had a sourness underneath. She tasted it slightly and spat out, but smiled. This one go hold 'em well, she said. She dished it into a clean plate and wrapped it neatly in foil. Then she changed into a tight bodycon dress and sprayed perfume all over her neck, breasts, and thighs. She rubbed the red powder from Baba Adissa on her chest and arms, then wore her highest heels. The next morning, Mr. Chuks called her. Hey, pretty, you remember we planned to meet at the hotel today? Brenda acted tired. Oh, baby, please. Can you come to my place instead? I've been craving to cook for you. Chuks hesitated. He didn't usually go to women's homes, especially not cheap-looking ones. But Brenda's soft voice melted him. Please, just for me, she said again. I made stew and white rice. That was all it took. Chuks laughed. All right, send the address. He arrived that evening, dressed in jeans and a polo shirt, his gold wristwatch glittering. He brought wine and a pack of takeaway food. But when he entered Brenda's one-room apartment, something felt odd. The place was small, mattress on the floor, small gas cooker in the corner, and plastic chairs. Yet, Chuks didn't care. The moment he saw Brenda in her tight dress, smelling like heaven, his mind became foggy. "You look beautiful," he muttered. Brenda smiled. "I made your favorite." They kissed. It was deep and passionate. One thing led to another, and soon they were on the mattress. The sex was intense. Brenda moaned like she was trained in the art of seduction. Chuks had never experienced anything like it. Afterward, she stood up, covered herself with a wrapper, and went to dish the food. "Come and eat, my love," she said sweetly. Chuks sat up. I'm not really hungry." "Please, baby," she said, kneeling beside him. "Just a little. I cooked it for you. You'll love it." He looked in her eyes, and something inside him whispered, "Eat it." He took the spoon. The moment the first spoon entered his mouth, Brenda watched his face. He smiled. "Wow, this is different. Very tasty." She smiled. "Eat more, my king." He finished a whole plate. By the time he stood up to go home, something had changed. "Should I call your driver?" Brenda asked. "No," he said. "I'll stay a little longer." He ended up sleeping over. From that day, Chuks became a slave. He would text Brenda morning, afternoon, and night. He started sending her money, 200,000, then 500,000, then 1 million. He bought her a new phone, gold earrings, and even a new bed. He began visiting her almost every day. Brenda didn't stop. Every time he visited, she prepared stew. Sometimes cooked with minces, sometimes raw blood stirred in secretly. She smiled sweetly each time he ate, knowing she was tightening the rope. Chuks began missing work. He stopped eating his wife's food. He became cold and distant at home. No more bedtime conversations. No more school drop-offs. Mrs. Chuks noticed it. "Darling, is everything okay?" she asked one night. "Work is just stressful," he replied flatly, scrolling through his phone. She stared at him. Something didn't feel right. And so, the cracks began small. At first, it was the silence. Mr. Chuks, who used to call his wife baby and kiss her good morning, now barely said a word. He would wake up, pick up his phone, and scroll through WhatsApp with a blank face. When his children rushed in for their usual morning hugs, he would wave them away or grunt. Mrs. Chuks noticed. "Darling, is everything okay?" she asked one morning, touching his arm as he sat on the edge of the bed. "I said I'm fine," he snapped, pulling his arm away. She stared at him in shock. Her husband never raised his voice at her. That day, he left the house without even eating breakfast. The children looked confused. The youngest, Nkechi, tugged at her mother's dress. "Mummy, why is Daddy angry all the time now?" Mrs. Chuks smiled weakly. "Don't worry, sweetie. Daddy is just tired." But deep down, her heart was troubled. Mr. Chuks no longer ate at home. When his wife cooked, he would push the food aside. "I'm not hungry," he would say, or "I already ate at work." He stopped sleeping with his wife. For over 2 months, he hadn't touched her, not even a kiss. The once passionate marriage had become cold like stone. And Brenda? She was living like a queen. Mr. Chuks had rented her a new 2-bedroom apartment in a fancy part of town. He furnished it with imported leather chairs, bought her a flat-screen TV, and filled her wardrobe with designer clothes. And an expensive car. And every time he came over, Brenda welcomed him with the same nasty stew. "Eat, my love," she would say. He would smile like a robot and eat without a word. He was no longer thinking with his brain. His life, his money, his time, everything belonged to Brenda. One evening, Mrs. Chuks sat in the living room staring at her husband as he came in late again, smelling of perfume that wasn't hers. "Where are you coming from this time?" she asked calmly. "Work," he replied without looking at her. "Your children didn't see you all day, even on Sunday. You don't care anymore." He threw his keys on the table. "What's your problem? Must you complain every time I walk into this house?" The children, who had been watching cartoons, went silent. Mrs. Chuks took a deep breath. "You haven't touched me in months, Chuks. You don't talk to me. You don't eat here. What's going on?" Mr. Chuks ignored as if she never existed and went to bed. That night, she cried herself to sleep. Mrs. Chuks could not rest. Her husband was changing too much, too fast. She knew there had to be something deeper. She began checking his phone when he was in the shower. But Chuks was smart. He had deleted everything. So she hired a private investigator. In 2 weeks, the man returned with photos, videos, and details. It was Brenda, the same woman Chuks had met at the restaurant. The investigator even had a video of Chuks entering her apartment and staying overnight. Mrs. Chuks was heartbroken. She remembered how she had sacrificed her youth for this man, how she had carried his babies, prayed for him, stood by him. And now this? Tears flowed freely as she watched the videos. She wanted to confront Brenda, to fight, to scream, but something told her to face her husband first. One night, when Chuks returned home after another visit to Brenda, he met his wife in the living room, waiting. She looked calm, but her eyes were swollen from tears. "Sit down," she said. "I'm tired. I need to rest." I said, "Sit down." Something in her voice made him stop. He sat. "I know everything," she said. "Her name is Brenda. You bought her a car. You rented her a house. You even fly her around the country." He blinked. "I saw the videos, Chuks." He looked away, ashamed for the first time. "You don't care about your children anymore. You haven't asked about their school. You don't even hug them anymore." "I know," he said quietly. She blinked in shock. "That's all you have to say? I love Brenda. I can't explain it. I can't live without her." "And me?" she asked in disbelief. "And our family? Our home? Does that mean nothing to you?" He looked her dead in the eye. Chuck stood and faced her. "I can't do this anymore," he said coldly. "What do you mean?" "I married the wrong woman. I've been pretending all these years. I'm not happy with you. I don't feel anything anymore. There's someone else. I want a divorce." The word stabbed her heart like a dagger. She stood frozen. You're joking, right?" Her voice trembled. He turned and walked into the bedroom. She stood there, shaking. Her legs could barely hold her up. She wanted to scream. She wanted to slap him. She wanted to die. But she couldn't move. Mrs. Chuks thought it was a joke, but after a few weeks, she realized that there was nothing she could do to change things. So accepted the divorce, and they parted ways, and she went with the children away from the toxic relationship. Without his wife and children in the house, Chuks felt nothing. He moved in with Brenda fully, like a man under a spell. She continued to cook the nasty stew, sometimes with cooked menstrual blood, sometimes raw. She would laugh in the kitchen while stirring the pot. "You will never leave me," she would whisper. And truly, Chuks did everything she asked. He became her maid, washing her clothes, cooking breakfast, massaging her feet, buying wigs, handbags, perfumes, and even cleaning the toilet. When he saw her with other men, he felt nothing. Once, he walked into the living room and found Brenda sitting on another man's lap. "Baby, this is my cousin," she said with a smirk. Chuks nodded, smiling foolishly. He was gone, lost. Brenda was now living her dream life. Everything she ever wanted, she got, not through sweat or sacrifice, but through seduction and ritual stew. All thanks to one man, Mr. Chuks. Now nothing more than a shadow of who he used to be. Gone was the confident, well-spoken businessman in suits and shiny shoes. What remained was a tired-looking man who smiled only when Brenda smiled, who followed instructions like a houseboy, and who spent his days thinking of how to please the woman who slowly destroyed his life. Chuks had been skipping work. At first, he used excuses. "I'm not feeling well, sir. Family emergency. Stuck in traffic." But soon, the company grew tired of his lies. His manager, Mr. Okoro, called him in. "Chuks, this is not you. You are our best staff. Your clients are complaining. Your targets are not met. And you've become a ghost in this office." Chuks sat there silently, playing with his fingers. Mr. Okoro sighed. "Are you going through something?" Talk to me. I'm fine, Chuks muttered. Just need some time. But it was already too late. 2 weeks later, he was fired. Just like that. With his job gone and no income, Chuck started selling his properties. The land in Enugu? Sold. The Mercedes-Benz? Sold. The shares in his company? Gone. Brenda didn't care. All she cared about was maintaining the lifestyle. Baby, I want that red wig I saw on Instagram. Okay. Baby, I want a new iPhone. Okay. Baby, I want $500,000 to go to Ghana with my girls. Okay. Chuck sold everything until only his savings remained. One day, he entered his bank app and saw just $83,000 left. He sighed deeply. He turned to Brenda. Babe, I think we need to reduce spending. Brenda looked at him like he had grown two heads. Who is we? You think I came here to suffer? I didn't mean. You think I'm one of your church rats? Go and get money. He got up immediately like a soldier obeying command. He took the last thing of value, the TV in Brenda's room, and sold it. Brenda didn't even try to hide her disgust anymore. She stopped sleeping with him. She stopped smiling. She started insulting him openly. Look at you, she would say. A whole rich man, now washing pant for me. Shame. And Chuks would only smile and say, I love you. One morning, Brenda was gone. No note. No phone call. No goodbye. Just gone. She blocked his number, changed her WhatsApp, and disappeared from her apartment. Her friend Rita refused to say anything. Chuks waited. Days passed. Then weeks. He kept calling. Please, Brenda. I miss you. I'll do anything. Just come back. No reply. He sat alone in the apartment he had paid for. No food. No light. No love. And finally, the spell wore off. He slept and woke up feeling normal, like a fog had lifted from his head. He stood up, looked around the room, and for the first time in months, he saw things clearly. The apartment was dirty. Plates with stale stew sat on the floor. Brenda's clothes were scattered across the bed and floor, some of them with other men's perfumes still on them. There was an empty wine bottle beside the gas cylinder. Then it hit him like a violent slap to the face. What have I done? He whispered. He staggered back into the wall and dropped to his knees. His head began to spin. I left my wife, my children. He began to cry. Not small, quiet tears, deep, chest-wrenching sobs. He wept for everything. His job, his home, his dignity, his family. I'm finished, he groaned. He had no job, no income, no savings, no friends. He tried reaching out to his old office colleagues. Chuks, you still day? One of them responded in shock. Please, I need help. Anything. Guy, after all the way you take disappear, you think say we be fools? Go ask that your girl when she do your brain. They hung up. He tried to reach his wife. She didn't pick up. He went to their old house, but a neighbor told him they had moved out months ago. He started begging. Small jobs, carrying loads in the market. Some days he pushed wheelbarrows. Other days, he sat at the back of a shop washing bottles. People who used to greet him with respect now looked away when they saw him. Some even laughed. Nah, that one-way follow a Shawo Comedim family, they would whisper. One day, after fainting while helping a customer at the bus park, he was rushed to a small clinic. The nurse checked his vitals and noticed sores on his body. Sir, have you done a full test recently? She asked gently. He shook his head. We'll do a few blood tests. He waited. Hours passed. The doctor came in with a file and a serious look on his face. Mr. Chuks, I'm sorry, but your results came back positive. You have HIV. The words didn't register at first. What did you say? You have HIV. We'll begin counseling and treatment immediately, but the doctor's voice faded into the background. Chuks felt like the ground had opened under him. He held his head, shaking, crying, rocking back and forth. God, oh God, what have I done to myself? Now, completely broken, Chuks found himself on the streets. He moved from corner to corner, sleeping behind buildings, wearing the same clothes for days, eating leftover food when lucky. Whenever he saw a former colleague, he would hide. Once, he saw his wife walking down the street with their children. They looked happy. The children had grown. His son was taller now. His daughter looked just like her mother. He stood behind a kiosk and watched them pass. He wanted to run and hug them, to apologize, to beg, but his legs were too weak and his shame was too heavy. He knew he didn't deserve them. Weeks later, Chuks began writing, not with a pen and paper, but with his voice. He started teaching the importance of faithfulness to other men, drawing lessons from his story. To every man reading this, he said, don't trade peace for pleasure. Don't let a beautiful body blind your eyes from seeing a beautiful soul at home. The devil does not always come with horns and fire. Sometimes she wears heels, perfume, and tight dresses. Value your wife. Respect your marriage. Protect your home. That small moment of fun outside can cost you everything. If you are faithful, you save yourself from shame, sickness, spiritual bondage, and regret. Learn from Chuks. Don't be another story of what if. Thank you for watching this story to the end. We hope you have learned something. Please share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more powerful stories.